Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Worthy, Worth It, and Priceless. This podcast is titled It's Freedom, or I'll change it, maybe. But either way, the subject that I'm speaking on is giving you encouragement to tell your story. I know for me, I was, even though I've been doing like videos or encouragement or whatever for about 10 years, in certain ways, I wasn't too personal. Like I'll tell you something, maybe, but for the most part, I wasn't too personal. I wasn't really telling my story. And oftentimes it was because of what other people will say. I knew that some people in my life who were watching um, the videos or listening to the podcast were listening to them to be critical or listening to them to try to be nosy. So the encouragement that I may have given it would be like a little surface level. You'll get a little nugget maybe or whatever. But if you can tell or whatever, just recently when I actually just started coming back on, I've been actually giving more encouragement from my life and releasing things. Because for the most part, I was trying to protect other people. And I was holding everything on the inside. But through therapy, and I remember one time I was, when I was getting my hair cut and my barber, got rest his soul, I was telling him, I was doing the videos or whatever, and he got a prophetic word. And God was basically saying that I needed to tell the parts of my story that I wasn't telling. And I'm like, nah, you know what I mean? Like, or I don't know if I was giving excuses or whatever, but he was telling me like we overcome by our testimony. He was saying that there may have been or may be someone who's went through the things that I went through, and they need that encouragement and all that. And so that's what I want to tell you. You may not want to tell your story because you may be afraid. You may be afraid of what other people will say. You have a book inside of you. You have maybe even a podcast, or you have songs or something. You want to express yourself, but you are worried and afraid of what everyone else will say. And what I would say is do not let others silence your voice. This is your story. This is something that you need to get out. And it's not just for you, it is for someone else. God did not allow you to go through everything that you went through for you to keep that on the inside. That wasn't just for you to overcome. That was for you to overcome and tell someone else. That was for you to overcome and give the encouragement and or maybe the roadmap blueprint to someone else, so they know how to navigate through this. So they'll know how to navigate through that grief, through that loss, through that breakup. They will know because you went through it and you're telling them this is how to do it. Now, on the flip side of that, you may not get a pat on the back. You may not get the encouragement that you want. You may not get the people all standing in your corner. And I want to give you encouragement towards that too. Do not look to the numbers, who you're going to help, or even waiting for someone to give you encouragement or a pat on the back or anything like that. You may not get that. Do not do it for that. You may bless someone from years to come, someone that you may never meet. But at the end of the day, it is so liberating to get your story out. And I can tell you from experience, by me actually sharing my story, it has shown me a different light, through this and therapy, and always by the grace of God, but it has shed like years off of me because I was hiding and I didn't want to say anything. I didn't want to hurt anybody. And I was so afraid of what everybody else was saying. It's like, oh, they're probably going to say something back to me. They're probably going to say something. But if you are telling the truth, it is your truth. No one can stop your truth. They can get mad all they want, but they cannot stop your truth. This is what you went through. And if they didn't like it, they probably shouldn't have did it to you. I mean, at this point, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, they can't stop your story. It is time for you to tell your story. Not worry about repercussions. It's not like you're sitting up there and you're like, trying to be malicious. You're just trying to get your story out. It's your testimony. We overcome by our testimonies. So at the end of the day, there's somebody that may be going through the same thing that you're going through. By the grace of God, it's your duty to reach back like, hey, this is what I went through. This is how you navigate through that. You went through that so that you can help someone else not go through the same thing that you went through. That encouragement that you needed at that time, somebody else is going to need that. The way that you overcame, they're going to need that testimony. They're going to need that story. Like, how did you make it through this? How did you make it? And you even think about it too, like, just say you see a beautiful cake or whatever you like on social media. A lot of us, we don't want to know, we just don't want the picture. We want to know how they made it. That's the same thing with you. That shine, that glow that you're going to have on your life or that you have on your life, someone is going to want to know, how did you get that? What did you have to go through for that? And by the grace of God, now is your turn to tell that story. Once again, you don't have to do it on this type of platform. This may not be for you. But there could be a coworker that's going through something similar that you went through. And they just need a helping hand. They need that encouragement. So don't be afraid to tell your story. This is your story, and it's time for you to get it out. And it's time for you to use your voice. Get the freedom that God wants you to have. Live life more abundantly. And I can just say this for myself. I wasn't trying to make this too long, but I can just say it for myself. These last few days, I've been doing the podcast and really taking it seriously and getting these messages out, like basically, giving you a glimpse into what I've been through. It has helped me so much tremendously. Like I have a new outlook on life. And it's like I'm seeing the freedom. I'm seeing the sun come in finally. And that was because I'm not hiding anymore. I'm not saying anything maliciously. I'm not saying anything that didn't happen. But at the end of the day, I'm tired of basically being held hostage, trying to shield people's images and not make them look bad or whatever. Like I said, I'm not saying anything bad, but it's just the whole point. I'm tired of keeping this on the inside for other people's sake. And meanwhile, it's hurting me. And as God has allowed me to share these stories, it has made me feel so much better, because this was years of holding it in and not saying anything. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I didn't want anyone to look bad upon the other person. Like I said, I didn't say anything bad. Didn't say anything that didn't happen. But that was the thing. I wasn't saying anything at all. And in the end, it was hurting me. It was frustrating me. So it is time for you to get that frustration out of you. Not violently, but it is time for you to get that frustration out of you. Write it down in the journal. Tell someone. Get therapy, get help. Because there's life on the other side of your pain. And it's time for you to let it out and tell your story. So until next time, love you guys as always. Bye.